look the part, but let's see some of your moves.
Feeling free and it feels so right. Oh, time to do the things I like. Gonna see a princess, everything's alright. Oh, no job but an answer to. Ain't a fixture in the palace zoo. No, and since the carpet nights off me, I'm living life now that I'm free. Yeah, time to get myself together. Now I got myself together. Now I made it through the weather. Better days are gonna get better. I'm so happy. The current night is gone. I'm moving on. I'm so happy that it's over now. The pain is gone. I'm putting on my shades to cover up my eyes. I'm jumping in my ride. I'm
through and through. But to your point, though, of like my generation was the last of the action figures. I can 100% verify that because I have two little cousins who are kind of back to your point of they're not really fans, but they like the movies.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember. It was at least a couple years ago. It might have been when The Force Awakens came out, but like we got them action figures for Christmas, and they were totally uninterested. It's like, and I would have just kept these for the collection if I'd have known you wouldn't cared. But yeah, I'm really Ken, again, back to your point, they're not branded towards kids anymore. Websites like Hasbro Pulse don't exist for parents buying them for their kids. It's for people like the three of us who you're gonna shell out $300 for a Razor Crest ship, or you're going to shell out $900 for a Jabba sail barge because you want it for your collection.
Well, even this guy, I forget what I paid for him, but look how tiny that is.
$10.
Yep, $10.
You know, like, yeah. I mean, and if this was around when I was a kid, this would have been, these little things would have been lost probably before I got rid of the package.
Yep. And you know, so Arc 77 Fordo mentioned that he collects Legos or purchases Lego toys. I mean, I love Lego and their creativity and the amount of stuff that they put out there, and I'm still baffled by the way that they price those things out.
Yeah,
yeah. I got the UCS the Ultimate Collector Series Republic gunship, and I do no buyer's remorse whatsoever. The fact that I spent $350 on 3,400 pieces of plastic is just mind-boggling.
I remember that video. Didn't you make a video about that? I think I remember a TikTok video about that.
Yeah. The Republic gunship was one of my favorite my favorite ships because I grew up on the prequels.
Yeah,
but
that is a good ship.
It took them forever to actually make a good set of the Republic gunship, because you have the first one came out and I want to say it was 2003 when right after Attack of the Clones came out.
Yeah.
Then we didn't have another one until 2013, and it was a minifigure scale model that it didn't have the right look to it. And then finally last year they put out the Ultimate Collector Series $350 set.
How heavy was the box?
Oh, it is heavy.
You buy by the pound. That's the price point.
Yeah, well, speaking about price point, they mentioned that the Grogu is about $30, $25 to $30.
Only send me $25 then.
So I'm going to sound like an old man here, and I'm going to step up onto a soapbox or invite other people to my TED Talk. The other piece when it comes to collecting that does bother me a little bit is when folks go into the store, buy it for X, and then turn around and resell it for 5 times X. I mean, I've witnessed it, and we're close to a Target where I met Anthony for our podcast. They're close to a Walmart, and what used to be, there used to be a Toys R Us nearby, and I would see people go in there and just like literally hoard stuff, or they would be there on the day that the shipment came in and they had a deal with Timmy who worked, and they would just get all of this stuff, and then you would find. I mean, there's this one guy has a shop on one of the boardwalks selling toys, and I saw you buy that thing the other day for $10, and now in your store it's 37. Like,
yeah, I agree. I never minded the guy who, like, at the end of the run, and there's a whole bunch of Constable Zubio, and they buy a crap ton of them, and then 10 years later they're worth some money. I don't have, but when Zoe wanted Ahsoka, when Ahsoka first came out, we drove and hit every Target and Kohl's from Lancaster to Baltimore till we found it, because guys were just buying them in bulk, and the same happened with Sabine when the first Sabine figure came out. I wound up buying. The guys were buying them when we were at Steel City. Guys were buying them at the Target and taking them to their stand at Steel City and trying to sell them. Luckily, we beat them, to the Target down there. So, which I don't know. And Legos, I just don't have the patience. Like, if I did the last Lego I put together was a Harry Potter castle for the girls when they were really little, and I was like, I'm never doing this again. Because then I put it together, I'm like, what do I do with it now? Like, I don't have a castle shelf, and then we buy the minifigs, which I just found out. At the cons where they have those rows of minifigs, like you can go to a stand and I guess they're not really Legos.
All China.
Which I should have probably.
Oh, 100%.
I should have known that, because how in the world would you get 50 Jawas? Like,
one of the things I found too related to resellers, sometimes what they'll do is they'll buy the set and then they'll break it down because they know that they can get much more for those mini figures separately. But it's I understand capitalism. I get it. It makes sense to me. However, I think with everything else, sometimes it gets taken to an extreme level. I mean, just we mentioned Batuu and Galaxy's Edge. When it first opened, people were getting the programs from Walt Disney World, the free maps that Walt Disney World handed out, and turning around and selling the map on eBay for $6 or $7 a piece for something that was given to them when they came in through the door.
Yeah. And maybe it's because we're in the costuming groups where we put thousands of dollars into a costume and then do stuff for free. Maybe we're not good capitalists in that way. But I also think, like Hasbro, I think Hasbro's dropped the ball, because at least in the days of the Clone Wars, if you couldn't I knew that I couldn't find an Ahsoka. I knew I would find one in the next couple of days. Now it seems like they're like, okay, here's one run. Like, I don't know if it's just we live in an age where people's interests change so quickly. But Star Wars, like when I was growing up from 77 well into the 80s, there was a Star Wars section in the toy store at all times, even when there was no movies. Once they hit it, and it's like the stores they just want the next hot item, and like it just, I think that's probably part of the reason why kids aren't into stuff. And secondly, like, there's just no long-term, like, it's like, okay, if you don't get, like, there's no rhyme or reason to what figures they put in. And to me, they should know by now that just make the same amount of every figure, because everyone's going to want them,
Well, what's funny, though, is that some of them do sit on pegs for a while. So for whatever reason, in the stores near us, the most recent peg warmers have been the Black Series Lando.
Yep.
And it's a gorgeous figure, and I can't imagine, or I can't understand the amount of money they've invested in the packaging now, because the packaging is like prismatic and it's gorgeous cardboard box. But now, I know we've talked about it, kids don't play with them anymore.
Yeah.
And in some ways, the kids are priced out of getting. So kids can't take their allowance and go and get 3 figures. Back when we were kids, how expensive?
Yeah, they were $1.59 when I started. But I remember the ships would come in a cardboard box, thrown in there, and just one little piece of tape, and you dump them out, and all the parts would pour out, and you'd shake it, and then a little sticker sheet would come out. There was no packing holding them together,
Yep.
And most of my ships we had in the town of Honeybrook near us, an Amish person used to buy all the busted and wrecked stuff from Penny's and Sears, and that's where we used to get our I got my TIE Fighter, half the box was missing, and all the stuff was just taped up with and that's they would sell them, but you get them for like half the price. It was a true unclaimed freight type store back in the 70s, you know. So it's just weird how things have changed.
Yeah, so our listener even talked about that kids are having to spend so much more money on them. So Legos for Star Wars, $14 to $16. For non-Star Wars, it's like $12.
Yeah, well, they got paid that license fee.
Yeah. Well, like I'm obviously I think I'm the only one who is seriously into Lego out of the three of us, but they just announced they're doing a like a scene set from The Mandalorian season 2 in the finale when Luke's fighting the Dark Troopers.
Oh, that's cool.
Okay.
It's 166 pieces. The set itself is probably only yay big. It's a $30 set. When I don't know, maybe 5 years ago, it would have easily been a $15 metal pack, because it's because it's got the Dark Troopers. People want the Dark Troopers for army building, and it's Star Wars. That's Lego price per piece, which is kind of the metric that's been used throughout the years, has totally gone out the window for Lego Star Wars.
Yeah.
So, but I kind of wanted to bring up one thing. Back to I don't remember if it was you or Mike, Ken, that said it, but going back to there's a you go to your Target and then someone's there buying everything. I'm very grateful to be in the position that I am, because I work part-time at GameStop, so I entirely stopped going to these big box stores. If there's something I want, I will either pre-order it straight from either Hasbro or Lego, whatever it may be, or I'll pre-order it at work. And it's something that not a lot of people have the opportunity for, because I know when pre-orders go live.
Yeah.
So be like, all right, cool, got to stop in Thursday night, pre-order X Black Series figure.
Yeah, and some of the things, if you don't know that the pre-order is coming, you don't get in on it. And then other things, to Mike, I think you mentioned it a little bit ago. It gets released, but you never see it. There are figures that I've seen, on yakface.com, or somebody posts a picture of it on Facebook or whatever, and I've never ever seen that figure live and in person. Never saw it on a shelf. Never had the opportunity to find it in the hunt.
Yeah, my most recent example of that is there was a Walmart exclusive Black Series Captain Rex and Imperial Crosshair from the Bad Batch that the pre-orders online were gone in 3 minutes. They have never...
That I don't understand, because isn't the whole point of pre-order so they know how many to make?
You would think, but that's one figure that I've never seen in stores or on shelves at all, and now they're going for $55, $60, $70. And like, I just walking through Steel City, I was shocked that I saw one and the guy wanted $100 for it. It's like, well, there's no point in paying that,
right?
When it was, it's a $23 figure.
See, I wouldn't even say it's $23. I know that's what they're charging for them now, but I'm not gonna lie, there are moments where I'm like, man, this is as cool as this is. Like,
John might not think this way yet, but lately I've been thinking everything in terms of filament spools.
I'm kind of there.
Well, that's $30.
I'm running out of my second accidental Amazon order of filament. So now we're thinking, $20 for filament, $20 for an action figure. Can make 2 helmets, can buy 1 figure.
Get GST 3D.
Yeah, I know.
$100 for 10 rolls.
As soon as I'm out of this PLA Plus, because I accidentally. So what I did is I ordered 10 rolls of PLA Inland brand PLA Plus, and I didn't realize that I accidentally hit the subscribe button on Amazon, and I did that twice. box. So I ended up with 30 rolls of PLA Plus that I 15 boxes of. I'm like, I don't even print this much. Because I always try and I try and figure out how to print things that'll use the least amount of filament. So like my I put it a little bit out of reach. My like this helmet, I printed this all in one piece. Nice. But instead of, printing on the inside of the dome and having a whole support go to the top, I printed it upside down. So the only supports were on the top of the dome, on the ear caps, and then on the bottom edge of the visor.
Well, you can shut your supports off on that top too. You could print that with no in the dome. It'll work. My Fennec Shand. Hang on.
Yeah, I got to hang out with you guys more often to get some prints made.
If only we didn't live in 3 different states.
This was printed right here with no supports except for around the edge. No bottom, no top. It printed right on the bed like this.
See, I get nervous about that because I don't know what's wrong with my printer, but like there are some times where it's like, I don't need supports there. And then it turns out it's like, I guess I needed supports there.
My printer right now is dialed in, so I'm trying not to touch anything because I want to print some wood filament and I got to change some settings, and I'm just waiting until I have to change something. So I've been printing unrelated to Star Wars flexi prints. Have you ever seen those?
Mm-hmm.
And I've been printing them for my wife's classroom. Let me go grab one. You guys keep talking.
Well, he's running away. So what toys would you like to see made from this season of the Book of Boba Fett?
Well, first and foremost, an accurate Black Chrysanthemum would be nice. I don't know if you saw the horrible botched release of that figure. Yeah, I was thoroughly disappointed because it's a repainted Chewbacca with unpainted armor. It looks terrible. As someone goodness. I want to do a Chrysanthemum costume, and just looking at after hyper analyzing his. Oh, I've seen those. I've seen that model before, and I've written it.
Yeah, they print all in one piece, and they're flexible. No supports, nothing. I print them for my students and my wife's students as like if I give them a review sheet, the one who scores the highest, I give them a dragon. I don't know.
That's cool.
Unrelated to Star Wars. But Ken, did you see?
Wow. And that's a print?
It's a Ruby's helmet.
Oh, wow.
I repainted it. You can see there's screens right here.
Oh, okay.
I cut holes in it. It's for the drummer of Galactic Empire.
Oh, nice.
But this is a $50 Ruby's helmet. I tore it apart and painted it. It's really nice. Like, I'm tempted to buy one just to do for myself.
My costume has 2 Ruby's blasters.
Yeah. I have the file for the realistic blasters like Bo-Katan has. If you ever need if you need a pair, I got a pair here that I printed for someone in Australia, and shipping would have been twice as much as what they cost.
Oh my goodness!
So I got a pair if you
John and I were just talking while you were walking away. What toys we'd like to see made from the Book of Boba Fett?
Oh, what do you got? Is that a Rocktopus?
Yeah, or not a Rocktopus, but hang on.
Yeah, I have the Rocktopus file. I print those for my students too.
Yeah, this was one of the first things that I printed when I got my first 3D printer, and I would never ever want to get. I'm shocked that I didn't lose this.
Yeah,
but yeah, I love print in place flexi prints.
Yeah, Colt 3D is where I get mine from. Anyway, so what would you say?
What toys would you want to see made from the Book of Boba Fett?
Rancor, which they almost made. Again, HasLabs. So here's my if you talk to your toy guys and they want to hire me for Hasbro, which I know they don't work at, here's where they went wrong with that Rancor. They should have sold that Rancor. They should have charged a little more, made him a little bigger, but he should have come with a set, and the set should have been the round base to Jabba's palace with his pen in it. And then the next set would have been whatever room, and it would have set on top of that. So when the people are all done buying these sets, they have like a 4-foot thing that stands high that you could display figures. Because I think the reason the sail barge was such a big hit, it was a display piece. You know, I mean, it was a ship, but technically it was a display piece for all these figures. And the Rancor, when they did that Rancor, people don't want a figure. You know, they want to be able to display it. So I just pictured Jabba's palace at about 4 foot tall, sitting in the corner of your living room where the one side's open, and you could set up a Jabba, or you could set up a Boba Fett, and all these things in a multi-level building. That's what people want.
Yeah, and if Hasbro's going to be building it, then you know it's going to be accurate. You know, it's going to be to scale, that kind of stuff.
Well, and if you buy, that's the other thing is if you get 10,000 people buy the first one, most of them are going to buy the second one so they can stack it on top of the first one. Like it's just like when they put the action figure with like one leg of some dude in it. You know, I mean, I know I'm just a school teacher, but if you want to sell more things, you got to make them a reason for them to buy it, especially in these days and times. Like, you know,
yeah, people didn't want rocks and bones in a cardboard backdrop. That was the biggest botch on Hasbro's part in recent memory.
And that's what I mean, related to that Fat Fortuna set. You know, it's lots of little accessories. You know, the throne is cool, and a new version of Bib Fortuna is cool, and everything like that. But
no, I don't know if Bib Fortuna was ever a top figure. I don't think some kid was like,
no,
you know,
no. I would love to see them make the mods and their scooters.
Yeah. I heard you say that about the McDonald's toys. That's a pretty awesome idea.
Yeah. See, I don't know if they do that though.
I don't know if they would. I know that's what I would like. You know, one of the things I liked about toy, so when I was growing up, my mom and dad got divorced when I was young, and so we'd go to my dad's house sometimes, and my dad's house is where I had all my Star Wars toys. At home is where I had all my G.I. Joe toys, because my dad wouldn't let me bring my Star Wars toys home, and my mom wouldn't let me bring G.I. Joe toys over there.
Oh,
so
that's some childhood trauma there.
Pretty much. And one of the things I loved is I'd have a couple vehicles. So I had like the snowmobile and Zartan sled for G.I. Joe. And I remember having the Ewok Village and the ATST chicken walker for the Star Wars toys at my dad's house. So I loved the figures and their vehicles.
Man,
you know,
ATST
and the mods, those little
and
scooters are great vehicles.
I have to correct your Star Wars. ATST and Chicken Walker are different.
They are.
The Chicken Walker was on Hoth. You just saw a little one rolling around. It looks similar, but it's not the ATST.
Ah, okay.
He's right.
I'm only saying that because between you and Sal Perales, that you are the two people I could never fix with a Star Wars fact. I figure I'm getting one chance with you. Because Ken's like the walking encyclopedia of Star Wars. But anyway, sorry. But yeah, no, anyway, go. I'm sorry. Go. I didn't mean to interrupt your story. Sorry. Yeah.
No, I want to see those. I want to see those little scooters. As much as people bashed them, I want all of them. I think they were fun.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest reason they wouldn't do it, is just because I don't understand why. Like, they weren't my favorite part of the show, but I didn't hate them. I thought it was a very interesting it was an interesting take on, you know, what a citizen of Mos Espa would be. Yep. It was left field for Star Wars, but I appreciate that they tried something that wasn't, you know, your cookie cutter Star Wars. It's like, it's not some tough grizzled dude like the moisture farmer who that's how they were introduced.
Yeah.
I mean, but the
Milton.
Yeah. But we should have had a red stapler. It would have been.
Yeah, I think they got a lot of unnecessary hate, and that's why I don't foresee them, at least in the near future, that they would ever try and merchandise on those. But I wholeheartedly agree. Those would be awesome vehicles and characters to make, even if they just do the main two, the one girl with the vest with the zipper that everyone hates, and the guy with the cybernetic eye.
Well, and so Zoe and I were talking about that episode because people complained about the slow speed chase and whatever, and that didn't bother me either. But I said to Zoe, I said it could have also been one of those things where they filmed it and thought, hey, we'll speed this up. And then when they sped it up, they're like, it didn't look good. So they're like, okay, let's just do it this way and it'll be fine, you know. And I said this to someone else, but I often wonder if Star Wars people have made Star Wars a job, have made liking Star Wars a job. You know, like they forget why they like it. Like they feel like they have to critique every little, you know, nuance of it.
Yeah, I feel like that's
Well,
that's because there's a lot of
too. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Jeff.
No, all I was gonna say is I feel like that's because there's a lot of very I don't want to say this. There's a lot of megaphoned negativity where that's the loudest thing you hear. So people think that everyone who likes Star Wars hates Star Wars. I always say this. Nobody hates Star Wars more than Star Wars fans. It's tried and true.
Unless you come to our movie set.
True. Then there's a lot of positivity on those sets. But yeah, I think I wholeheartedly agree with you, Mike. There's people have to think that liking Star Wars is a job because there's so much negativity that is so loud around the fandom.
And I don't think I'll ever understand the disliking of it. I can't make sense of it. I mean, if you don't like it, then just leave it alone. Like,
yeah, it's not.
I don't like romance novels,
yeah.
So I can tell you what, I've never gone into BAM or gotten onto Amazon and purchased a romance novel. So if you don't like it, don't be involved in it. And I've never posted anything anywhere about why I think romance novels are awful, or why I would never read one, or why I would never buy one for a Christmas gift for anybody. But there are folks who spend lots and lots of time critiquing it to the nth degree, and to your point with the megaphone, broadcasting it for the world to hear. Like,
and why? Like, I was raised like, if you don't have anything nice to say, then don't say anything at all. Like, I could probably pick other fandoms that I don't like. It would be dumb of me to have like a Twilight Vampire podcast and then complain that I don't like Twilight vampires. You know what I mean? That would just be odd. Like, I just find it odd. You know. And then he could be one of the characters. Yeah, well, anyone in Central PA that wants to join us on our thing, find me on Facebook. Because the Tusken thing is my next, after we get this movie thing for Matt. I'm very happy with Matt's speed on this movie, because I've helped out with certain movies and it seems like they never go anywhere, you know, like, and it seems like Matt's moving relatively fast on this.
So yeah, I hope there's I hope we do some sort of screening. I don't care if I have to take off work for it. But my dad's begging me. He's like, "When's this movie going to be done? When's it going to be done?" I'm like, "We're picking up. We're doing pickup shoots next month, so hopefully soon."
Yeah. Well, the stills alone were beautiful. like that was a good day.
Yeah, that's honestly probably one of the best memories I've had in recent memory.
Yeah. Well, and I want to shoot a Tusken movie there. So Marty and Zoe were talking about a Tusken movie. And again, I'm still thinking when we get all our Tuskens, we should all, like, okay, let's just, I still would love to shoot a documentary style Tusken movie. You know, like do a Tusken encampment. Remember when we got there and those people were camping where they weren't supposed to be camping?
Mm-hmm.
Imagine setting up a Tusken camp right there. So we, you know, not where you see the water, and then just shooting just like the almost like a crocodile hunter type show coming up on Tuskens, you know?
Well, and if you're going to go that level of doing a Tusken documentary with a bunch of people in Tusken costumes, I want to put it out there for the universe to hear. All of us need to learn to do the fire dance.
Yeah.
Like,
that has to be a requirement if you want to be in this thing. You have to do the fire dance with us.
Well, and And I still think I want to shoot it with a 360 camera. So we in real time we do. There's no backlot, and then you edit it. You edit everything in post because a 360 shoots 360 degrees all the time.
Right.
And then you just you shoot some scenes straight on camera, but we just hide a 360 camera in a pole somewhere and just let it film. I don't know. I just want to get a Tuscan done. Safi said the Tuscan's a pretty easy costume to wear, and with the shortened eye stalks, I don't think it'll be a problem. Oh, there we go. Fire dance. Yeah, I'd love to do a fire dance. Hey, at the very least, yeah. I mean, I don't know if we can have a fire there though. Now that I think about it, that guy, honestly, the guy that runs that thing, he loved us being there so much. He would probably let us. Sure, it's state land, but put a fire on there. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
as
those
long as
kids who
we
were
were-
camping were.
Yeah, the kids at camping didn't mind.
Yeah,
And I think
I don't think they're supposed to be.
as long as we're conscious enough to have one or two people dedicated and committed to making sure it gets put out and spread out and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it was fun. Like the first photo shoot we ever did there, we had people stopping by and like taking pictures. We had a lot stopping by that day, taking pictures.
I think my favorite comment of that day is I was walking from the set down to the pavilion where you guys are all getting changed, in your TKs. And as I was walking towards it, there was some people on bicycles coming towards me. And at that time, Marty was only half Chewbacca. And so I stopped them. They said, "What's going on?" I said, "Just be careful when you get down there. There's some wildlife, in the next clearing. So just be mindful." And they're like, "What?" And so I went down, did whatever I needed to do, came back. They were still there. And they said, "Yeah, so glad you told me about this. It would have scared the crap out of me."
Yeah. The first time we went there, we didn't know the people, so we had to walk like a mile and a half or something like that. And Marty had to bring his R2 on a cart. We had a cart with his R2 pulling R2. But yeah, that was a fun shoot. That was definitely in my top. It was just a good day. I mean, I was tired, man. I forgot how hard it is to just stand in armor because you're like, I mean, it's not tiring. Like I know people got bust rocks for a living and stuff, but it's like every muscle is trying to have you relax a certain way, and the armor won't let you do that.
I think I
learned
drove home just
quickly.
on pure adrenaline and excitement. I thought it was such an awesome day.
I'm glad you came, Ken. I mean, I knew you'd be up for it. I wish we would have had more troopers. I mean, we'll probably get more now because all these people wanted to. But I know, like, John came from Ohio, and what do we have? Someone came from West Virginia. Did someone come from West Virginia? The one officer, I think.
Yeah, I don't remember.
And then Donna and her daughter came from Delaware.
Okay. And it'll probably be a little bit warmer.
Yeah. That wasn't bad once the sun hit, but man, it was
Early in the morning. I felt bad for Dan. He was in just as like his Under Armour, but getting into that C-3PO.
Dude, that C-3PO is a tough one. That's why when we do Safi's, I'm pretty much the only one that suits her up because if you try to help someone in C-3PO and you don't know what you're doing, you can not only hurt them, you can damage their armor pretty quick.
Yep.
Because Missy used to help Dan a lot, and a couple times because Missy would be doing it, and then people trying to stick their hands in to help, and she'd be like, just let one person do it.
Especially let the one person who knows how to do it do it.
Right,
I appreciate the assistance, but
yeah,
not
whenever
your
we get in a
spot.
hurry, that's one of those. Every time I've hurried to try to put Safi in 000, I've had to take a piece off because I forgot some. It's just one of those things. Okay, put this on because at one time we had her all suited up, went to put her head on, and forgot to put the battery pack on, or no, forgot to turn the batteries on. So I had to take her head off, arms off, chest off, turn it on, and put it back all back. So her C-3PO suit will have a removable back panel that I will not have to worry about.
Nice.
That's live and learn.
We got a comment about the fire dance, and I think that should be so either initiation or some sort of need some sort of code word to see if anyone knows the fire dance. Because if you know the fire dance, you can be part of the group. You can be part of the part of the tribe.
Ken, are you going to be running that vetting process there as well? Making sure you're going through all the audition tapes?
Yeah.
We could, what we should do though, when we do get the Tuscans done, that would be a good behind the scenes, the forces behind Star Wars. That would be a good episode.
100%.
Because like the Tuscans are one of those ones where similar to Mandalorians, like what I've noticed with the costuming groups, the Stormtroopers and the Rebel Legion, but the Mandalorians, just like in the show, it's really structured around the family of the Mandalorians. Like I am so happy with the welcoming family that Zoe has gotten through the Mandalorian mercs. And I feel like the mercs, I mean, I'm sure they have their same problems as everyone else, but I'm saying it seems like they're really, in a tongue-in-cheek thing, have fun with that whole family of Mandalore,
Yeah.
Before the Mandalorian came out. This was not something that they decided after they saw the Mandalorian.
Yeah, I agree. One of the things I like, not that there's one club that's better than the rest of the clubs. The thing I like most about the Mandalorian costuming group, and the reason I was so motivated to get involved, is not only do you get to create something that could exist in the Star Wars universe, there's a lot more freedom and creativity allowed. So you could have 50 people lined up as Mandalorians, and all 50 of them could be different color, different heights, different sizes, different weapons, different soft parts, different hard parts, and still be Mandalorian. Whereas with TKs, it's you have 5 or whatever, and they're very meticulous by design, because you want them all to be, seen as a mass.
Yeah.
And exact to each other. Whereas the Mandalorians, it's the rainbow of Star Wars costumes.
Well, they're like this. They're like when I noticed it's Orlando when I was at the 501st Bash, and then there was a bunch of all the other clubs around, and you could look at the 501st guys, and most of them on the whole had their nicely washed and cleaned 501st racing shirt on, maybe some patches, but they all had almost like a uniform look to them. And then you would see the Rebel Legion were kind of the same, but they might have been a little, theirs varied more. Like the 501st, even the guys that are different, they kind of still look the same. And then you'd see the droid builders. They were like the IT guys. You're like, oh yeah, he's a droid builder. He's a droid builder. I mean, this was pre lots of 3D printing guys. But then you would see the Mando mercs, and they were like that crazy uncle that everyone has that shows up on a different Harley with like a different girlfriend every holiday, and is like happy to see everybody, no matter who it was, and that's how the Mando like it was. I was talking to Quinn, and I was pointing it out in Orlando. I say, look, Mando, and it was funny because it's neat because there's someone's place. And someone fits in all of those, but when the Mando mercs, it's the time for the mercs. Like when Clone Wars came out, that was the 501st heyday. We had tons of clones coming in, and now with Mando and Boba Fett, it's like the Mando mercs time to shine, and it's just such a good group of people.
And where do the Tuscans fit in the costuming world? Do they fit in Rebel Legion? Do they fit in the 501st? Or is it time now to?
They fit in both. Yeah, they have. So in. I don't know what the Rebel Legion has, but in 501st, it's called DZ. The designation is DZ, Denizen of the Empire.
Okay.
And so they fall into both. And normally, most of the time, if you get in one, you get in the other.
Okay.
The Crate Dragon Clan is the like subgroup that helps the 501st guys. So it's like if you want to help, that's where they're all their CRLs and the deeper dives and stuff like that. And so that's like when we build our costumes, we're going to try to build them to those specs, but that's a secondary thing. Like I would much rather have 35 people that we know in Tusken Raiders, even if they don't, because some people just don't like the costuming groups for whatever reason. Some people, I like the costuming groups because I like that camaraderie and I like those rules to a certain rules that don't really matter. Like, like I just like that I like the standards in any of them. I agree with you. Like you were saying, when you were trying to be approved, it's a pain. And I think how people deal those standards can vary. But overall, I like the standards. And I just like us to have a group. I keep running through my head, and I have to, the voice in my head says, no more projects, no more projects. I have the plans in my head to build a bantha. and I know exactly how I want to do it, but I have to tell myself to shut up because I got to get all my other shit done first.
Well, why don't you build a Massive instead? That might be more manageable.
A what?
A Massive, one of the Tuscan dog, the crocodile dogs.
Yeah, but I was thinking of like picture like an 8 foot tall bantha that we just stood behind us. I was like, oh, I can make it.
Oh, I can picture that. My point is, I don't know if I can picture that in your basement.
No, that would
Like
be
where
I
you're
would
gonna
have to live
store
in my garage. That would then every time I wanted to do some work, there would be a bantha parked in my driveway.
Well, don't you got to finish your V-dub first?
Yeah, the V-dub got to get done too.
Unless you build the bantha in such a way that you can put it over the VW.
Yeah, see. Well, no,
So-
the V-dub's plan is to be a Mose Eisley Police Department pickup truck.
Okay.
So, because it's factory white. So, because I said to Missy, I said, look, if I don't have this thing, if I don't have progress on this van by the end of summer, I probably got to rethink of keeping it, which is kind of motivating me to get some work done on it. Because I bought it when I was like 19. But my plan is then to get magnetic stickers that say Mose Eisley Police Department and put on it, and then on the back put the MG 3042 or whatever blaster and stuff like that. So that's my plan. How many horses? Oh, okay. Well, no, I the only reason is because the tribe that he was with, which I would think was cool, and it's a tribe we'll probably wind up building. I think they were trying to portray those as more of like a farming type tribe, because the other tribes were the old school that like they were bound to their banthas and they were more like a warring tribe, and these guys seemed less warring and more because they had that little wooden thing that looked like they were trying to farm, and then that little kid took them and showed them that gang to show, look, it's not the Tuscan Raiders doing all this shit. You know what I mean? When that little kid showed up and stuff. So, but I like the new guy. It seems like everyone likes the new ones. The rifles, I like the rifles. I like the rifles better than the previous Tuscans, because the previous Tuscans, some of the rifles look a little weird. The stocks look weird.
Yeah, and I forgot, did they have the breather or not?
Some did and some didn't have the breather. Like I like the shortened eye stalks. Their mouths were, I think, a little more open, because the New Hope ones, it's like a inverted C stuff. So
yeah, they're much more of an egg shape for their mouths, and the Greeblies on the inside are very different than the ones from A New Hope. Yeah. At least the Chief and the
Chief and the Warrior were different. The
right.
other ones were somewhat the same, but it looked like their head wraps were the same, and then they had one extra brown kind of coming through. But their eye stalks were definitely shorter.
Mm-hmm.
But it looked like their blood tubes were the same length. Like I said, I had like printed off like side pictures, and I was like measuring it. So the eye stalks,
in comparison, this group of actors had to be more active. They had to be more mobile.
Yeah.
They weren't just seen from a distance or seen in, one or two shots. I mean, they were dancing around a fire, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
Or even if it was a CGI fire. I mean, they were still a lot more mobile than just the reoccurring, the moving their arms up and down and slam their gaffy stick on the.
I think the original one, didn't they reverse the film?
Yeah. So they because they didn't record enough, they didn't film enough, so they had to repeat it.
Yeah, I'm happy with what they did with the Tuscans. I mean, because basically they didn't really rewrite the Tuscans; they just showed that not all Tuscans are the same, which is a good life lesson for people. Like same with the Jawas. You would have never thought of the Jawa butt smacking someone with a rifle, and the Jawas were.
Or stripping someone of their armor and leaving them in the desert.
Yeah. They're like, well, they didn't kill him, but and
they didn't help him either.
Yeah, that was. But I like what they did with the Tuscans. I do like that dog thing, but I was looking at files. I was like, I wonder how many spools it would take to just 3D print this sucker, But I was like, nah, I can't. Because it was the file. If I zoom it up big enough to one file I found, it wouldn't look right. It would be all the details would be gone. I might as well just wrap up a stuffed dog. So, yeah.
So how do you think tonight worked out for you, Mike? Do you think you
Yeah,
learned enough about how to do
I'm
this?
happy with this. I'm happy with this. I hope the people watching it are happy. I mean, it seems I feel like high tech. It seems better than what I was planning. Because with Zoe, I was trying to get her to do a video, and it makes me want to do more video too. Um,
Well, one
but
thing I think we could do if we do more of these kind of things is to have some segmented portions where it's we do ask a question and give us some space for the folks to respond, and
yeah,
then we come back to the responses. So going back to the toy thing, if we had
yeah,
planned it out, we say, hey, hey guys, why don't you tell us the toys that you would like to see made from Book of Boba Fett, and we'll ask our viewers to do the same here in the chat.
yeah, and well, so and just I don't know what it looks like on your screen, but let me see. I have other options. Like let me see, like that. That how long does it take to change?
It took moments.
Yeah.
So there's that one's not so good. But if it also I also have a share screen option. So we could set up screens. I have multiple source options. So if we had a clip to show, but I like your segment thing because we could, like I said, I have, so like the graphics I have on the screen, which I would have to play around with a little more, but I'll show you here. Here's their stock graphics. Like that. There's their stock graphics.
Ooh, fancy.
I know, right?
Fits the vibe very well.
Yeah, but I can make I like this one that's here, this right here with the pictures of my podcast, Star Wars Geek Girl and Forces Behind Star Wars, and then it says StarWarsGeekGirl.com. I made that in Google Sheets or Google Draw, like in 2 seconds. So we can make. Now that I know how it sits, I just didn't know how it was going to sit because there was really no way to test it. And then when you guys here, watch if I turn, watch this can't. Well, let me see. I don't want to mess yours up. I can that waiting room. I can put you in you can put people in a waiting room. So if we had guests, they can show up in a waiting room and turn them on, turn them off.
Do I have snacks in that green room?
Yeah, virtual snacks, all the snacks you want to eat. And I can change. Let me see. I think I can change your name square. I don't really. Yeah. And I can change primary color. Let's see.
We just got some feedback that the YouTube feed and the TikTok live aren't at the same place.
Yeah, well, I know the TikTok this is probably slower. So what I think I'm going to do next time when I do a TikTok live, I will just put my TikTok live on a screen that tells them to go here, and then just set it off to this side.
Gotcha.
Because there's no feed, so this should be feeding it's feeding to Facebook, which I have the Facebook up. It's feeding to YouTube. I don't think anyone watches it in Facebook. And it's feeding to, I think, Tumblr or something. I have a Tumblr account, which I never used. Is it Tumblr? Let me see. Hang on. Let me see. Which is the one? It doesn't tell me. Which is the one that looks like a purple?
Twitch.
Is that Twitch?
That's Twitch.
Yeah, so it's, let me see. Because I think I started a Twitch a while ago and never used it. And since Google,
the only Twitch I have is if I've been awake for too long and my left eye.
So it's I'm looking. It's on Twitch. Whoops.
The only Twitch I have is if I've been awake for too long.
There, it's running a couple seconds behind the live feed, and I don't know if there is a live stream to restream or not. So, but it's a pretty decent service. I have, like I said, I can do sources. So I think when I do, so when I do thumbnails like this, we could have something in this big screen.
Okay.
What's this one? I got one other one. Oh, there we go. That's pretty cool too. So this one actually I like better because we get the wide screen of all of ours.
You can see.
Yeah,
I just have to be more prepared, so I'm not.
Yeah, come on, come on, Ken, come on. Blur out that,
Well, unfortunately, because of my injury and stuff, we still have the Christmas tree up.
I see the Christmas tree. I didn't want to poke fun at you for your Christmas tree since you did have an injury. But.
Yeah, the day that I was going to get the stuff from our storage unit, to take the tree down, I went to pick up a television and I blew out my right bicep tendon.
Mm.
So I've been
Oh wow.
unable to use my right arm fully for almost a month.
Mm.
Yikes.
So, but I get the benefit from being, still seeing the Christmas tree in February. So
Well, that's good. We were bad Christmas people. We didn't even have Christmas tree this year. So,
I envy you. I'm not a fan of Christmas decorations.
Yeah, I'm not. I like Halloween and all the Star Wars holidays. That's my way to go.
see, I just like it simple. A Christmas tree with lights.
Yeah,
We don't do anything outside. I mean, we put other stuff around the house or whatever, but the Christmas tree, I just like the simplicity of the lit up tree.
That's cool. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I'm up for doing this again. I mean, I will get the audio. Hopefully, I hit record and I did that part right. If not, I can just pull it off of YouTube or Facebook or something like that. But
yeah, definitely want to thank the folks that joined us too. So
yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, Fordo and Kevin and who else we have on there? Baytech. So I'm glad that folks were listening and or watching and sending comments. All right, this is pretty cool.
And
thanks for inviting me out to this.
Yeah, what we'll have to do is we have. I recommend anyone listening listen to the Star Wars, the Forces Behind Star Wars. It's an awesome podcast. My daughter's podcast, Star Wars Geek Girl. Listen to that. I mean, there's a lot of guests on that. My podcast, which we have been on a hiatus forever, is Karita Cast. John is going to be starting one, so at least next time. But we could put like next time in our names, we could put possibly our handles on other social media. If we come up with just like, so now I know not where not to put the like it's the Star Wars Force Behind Star Wars is right over the chat box. I know not to put it there next time. But we can play around with it if we have more guests. I'm always up for I think either I can have 8 or 10 people total. I forget. I bought the basic plan for this, so I have it for a year, just to try it out. Just because I want Zoe to try some video and I figured I'd learn it first. And TikTok's nice, but TikTok is it's not long for it's. I know a lot of people do lives, but it's not really conducive for long format with multiple people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny. I just looked at the time. We've been talking for almost 3 hours.
Geez.
We've been talking longer than a Star Wars movie.
Yeah. Well, it's good. We can end it with like we're in like a Star Wars hiatus right now, right? So when it comes to TV and movies, like because I'm sure the Bad Batch is coming out soon, apparently, from what rumors have it. But what's your Star Wars downtime? Start with you, Ken. Like what's your plan?
Well, I got 2 things. One, I'm working on that post-Imperial Mandalorian, so I've got that I'm working on, and I'm attempting to catch up on the comics. Plus, doing our show, we had a little bit of a hiatus. Our next episode will be our 20th episode. If I were to do a little preview for the next episode, we're going to get together and talk about the 20 things that we love about the movie Attack of the Clones. Nice. Because this year we're celebrating the 20th anniversary of Attack of the Clones. So it'll be our 20th episode about the 20th anniversary and the 20 things that we love about it.
John, how about you?
First on the docket is I gotta finish my my Mando Mercs armor. I don't have a name or a backstory yet. I'm waiting to finish the armor before I put any of that in. So anything that any inspiration that comes up along the way, that's as opposed to trying to fit the armor to a backstory, it's rather fit the backstory to the armor.
Nice.
So that's first on the docket. And then obviously, like you said, I'm going to try and get a podcast off the ground. And then whenever my Waltz kit ships, I really want to get my TK done before June is really my deadline. If I get it before the 13th, I would love to have it done by then. Then after that, it's just I'm gonna start kind of putting the planning together for Chrysanthemum, and that's going to be kind of relying on the Chrysanthemum build group on Facebook for files for the armor and then the latch hooking.
Yep, go to your local. Well, talk to Marty on which hair he uses for his.
Mm-hmm.
But he gets his at like a hair shop a lot of times.
Yeah, I ordered some on Amazon just to round out a same day delivery order. I'm like, you know what? I'll just throw this in there, kind of see kind of what the texture is, and I'm pretty happy with the quality of the hair that I got. But I'm gonna check with Marty, see if he thinks it holds up to the same standards.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna try. I'm just trying to get a lot of little stuff done. Probably maybe get my podcast back up and rolling too. But yeah, we should all talk about maybe we just all need to we just need to do something like this, and then we just insert ourselves into each podcast as just filler episode. I don't want to say filler in a bad way, but so just to keep the algorithm going for. I don't know if they call it an algorithm for podcasts, but you need like that. You need almost. You don't need like it to be weekly, but you need an interval to get your numbers up. But I would recommend, listen to Ken's and when John starts his.
Well, at the very least, I mean, the three of us could get together and do some silly brainstorming. I mean, I'm up for that. I think sometimes I'm more of an idea guy than I'm an actual execution guy.
Well, you know what? Maybe I was wondering. So maybe we should leave with so we know what we're going to do. So I don't know when. It could be a week or 2 weeks. We'll do this again when you guys are free, or you guys pick a time. But who's on with us still? Any of those guys have what topics? I mean, I like what I hear on other podcasts, but I also I don't want to say we don't want to over talk what someone's already heard 50 times too. At a certain point, if you're 2 weeks late and you hear someone still talking about the last episode of the Book of Boba Fett, you're like, oh man, I've just heard 6 podcasts about that. What else you got for me?
Well, it depends, because I mean, one of the things that, not to sound like I'm, blowing sunshine up my own butt, but one of the things that we pride ourselves with our show is we attempt to make it evergreen. So even though we may mention things about something that just happened, or something that happened in the first movie in 1977, we build it in such a way, or we talk about it in such a way that it's not dated.
Well, and that's what I do like about your show, because there are some shows, if you're busy and you miss a week, it doesn't really pay to go back and listen to it.
Yeah. I mean, we don't do a lot of the reaction stuff. We don't do a lot of the news stuff. I mean, we sometimes mention things.
Yeah.
But that's not the meat of our show. A lot of times we talk about the history behind it, or the inspiration behind it, and or what we have taken from it. Things that Star Wars has inspired us to do or make or follow up on. And that fan film that we've been talking about off and on throughout tonight is a wonderful example of that. So we saw these movies whenever we saw these movies, because we saw them at different times of our life, and we got together one day and went to Pennsylvania and helped other makers make a movie. I mean, how cool is that? And I know Anthony has mentioned it a couple times in our show, and I'll say it here for the world to hear, that Star Wars connects people. Star Wars binds people.
Yeah. Okay. Here I'm saying what people would like to see and how it would. Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, we could talk about things in the future. I wholeheartedly, I think my next progression, and maybe it's because where my kids are at, in my costuming world, I'm still going to troop and all of that stuff, but I hope my next progression involves more fan films. I would rather be I would rather be a stormtrooper in a bad fan film some days than it's still a good day.
Well, with that in mind, is it possible, instead of doing fan films, what if you did fan skits?
Yeah.
So you instead of doing an entire full length feature or whatever. It's little bits. So this thing that you put together, you mentioned it earlier, we're gonna do something with the Tuscans, and so we come up with something that involves the Tuscans, and maybe the next time we figure out a way of getting the mod speeder bike gang together, or I don't know, someone who's barbecuing Kawaki and monkey lizards.
Yeah.
A day in a food stall, a day in a Mas Espa food stall.
Well, me and Zoe, when we were home with quarantine, we did talk about if she could somehow figure out how to do The Office, but it would be, the show The Office, but base it in the Death Star. Like it's one of the offices in the Death Star.
Yeah, Mike, kind of to your... Go ahead, Ken.
Go. I was going to say, you ever see the Chad Vader show?
Yeah, I love Chad Vader.
Something like that would be funny too.
That guy wound up getting a job with Lucas Arts that did the Vader voice. He's one of their go-to guys because he did some weird thing with a long pipe when he did the voice, and he's one of the guys. I love Chad Vader. Funny. Me and the girls used to watch it when they were little. Go ahead.
Yeah.
John.
Yeah, just kind of going back to your point of I would rather be a bad stormtrooper in a bad fan film. I mean, I wholeheartedly cannot tell you how much I agree with that. Just because like my passion's always been film, so like just being on set for that day was just a dream come true. It's like it felt like I'm a part of Star Wars, even though it's it's just a fan film at the end of the day. But it was one of those things where, if I could do that every day, I would be a happy camper.
Yep. Well, I like it because, like it or not, I'm getting older. But when I'm in a stormtrooper suit, no one knows that. I'm just like, I'm the same 30-some-year-old that started in a stormtrooper suit, or the same 20-some-year-old that was looking for stormtrooper armor,
Or the same 7-year-old when you watched it the first time, or however old you were when you watched it the first time.
I was 9. Man, I still wish I. Yeah, well,
Did you say you were -4? What did you say?
No, I was -22 when it came out, but I was 4 when I first saw it.
Zoe was like 6 weeks old when she first saw it. Because I was off winter break in college, and I just would put I just got, I don't know if it was on VHS or DVD, the first 3 movies, and I just had them playing on a loop, while I was watching her. So just get it put in the kid's head young. So all right, gentlemen, we almost hit the 3-hour mark. I appreciate this. And I think I like this format, so hopefully we get some feedback on this format. The people on TikTok are probably super confused because they're only seeing like half of this, but I got 2,100 likes on the TikTok, so hopefully that's not too terribly bad. Let me see. Just one still. Yeah, well, listen. I mean, our fan film, the one we're working on now, he's out of New York. I believe Matt's out of New York. Am I correct?
I thought so.
Yeah,
he's out of New York, and his camera guys are out of Jersey, I believe.
Yep. And
then we're filming it in Pennsylvania for him to take around to film festivals, which I don't understand that. I don't understand the independent film part, especially when there's a licensing involved, because I guess he can't crowdfund a Lucasfilm, anything that uses Lucasfilm's property. I think there was a big stink about that a couple years ago, and stuff. But you can still make one. You just can't crowdfund or make money off of it or something like that, which is still pretty nice of Lucasfilm. So
well, and they do once a year for at least for the last few years have done the Fan Film Awards.
Did they still do that?
I thought so.
Oh, okay. Now there, Ken, you brought up the one point that I keep trying to get Zoe to do this. Maybe you guys will listen. podcasts need an award show. Like every podcast, like your podcast should do a yearly award show. Like you should just look at your 12 months of what you did for that podcast and come up with some award show that applies to your genre.
That's a fun idea.
Just for something different, because Zoe and I talked about that. I try her, so what I'll probably do is around the end of March, I'll give her a list of things that she could possibly do just for fun awards. Because it comes down to what John was saying when you do like your top 20 of this, or it just gives someone to listen to.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
You can have like for your award show the award for like the best fan film made by one of your members of your show. Well, you only have one thing, and just for the sheer fun.
Longest comment.
Yeah.
or the longest iTunes review.
Yeah.
Award goes to
Bill
Bill from Topeka.
Yeah.
And if you're listening, Bill, that's for you.
Yeah, and thank Captain Arc 77 has been directing people to my our YouTube thing. So, like I said, next time we do this, I'll put a better. I wasn't sure how successful this was going to be, and I would mark it up as really successful.
Yeah, and Mike, if you want, I'm fairly proficient in Photoshop. So I mean, if you want, I can throw together an overlay.
Yeah. I'll figure out the dimensions. I'll give you the dimensions, and it just I have Photoshop. Honestly, I just cheat in Google Draw because what I can do in 5 minutes in Google Draw, I just throw it on the sheet. But yeah, we can do an overlay. This multicolor thingamajig. Let me see if they give me a choice of changing background.
How good are you at the deepfake stuff? Because I think I'd really appreciate a different head.
That's Premiere and After Effects. That's not my forte.
I do have those. Zoe's good with that, but yeah. So I can't. It doesn't look like I can change the graphic, like this graphic color that's going behind us. That looks like that's kind of set. Let me see what this does. Oh, okay. That turns off the overlay of the chat. So, yeah, I'll get you some dimensions. It's way later than I'd ever planned, so I'm gonna have to get some sleep. But let me see settings. Oh, there's a virtual background. Shortcut keys. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
well, for a test drive, I thought this was a successful one.
Yeah, thanks, it was fun. Yes. So tomorrow or Friday, I'll get the audio squared away and send it to you guys. I'll probably just share it in the Google Drive to you guys, so you can do with it or not do anything with it. But you have 3 hours to chop up, and if you want to use the audio or video, I don't care. But especially John, if you're working on a podcast, I still highly recommend having a couple episodes in the can before you really launch it.
100%.
Yeah.
It first gets you ahead, but it also gets people, involved and reach out. Every podcaster. That's the other point I meant to make earlier is as podcasters, you never want to think of other podcasters as your competition, as more as your partners.
Mm-hmm.
Because the real successful podcasts that really have just staying power, they have guests from other podcasts. It's like the old adage for blogs, where blogs started was you were supposed to find another similar blogger and you're supposed to quote them, and then it would build that base. And I think podcasters, like I look at Zoe's show when I pull up her demographics, her best shows are not the shows with guest stars. They're the shows with other podcasters. Like she's had Vanessa Marshall on, and there's some of her higher rated, with traffic, but her highest one is with Jonah Marie Macias she used to be the Wookiee Gunner. Now she does Geeky Bubble. She's one of the longest running female podcasters. And that got her, because then Jonah Marie's fans come check you out. And, you might get 20 of them check out and one stays. and and vice versa. So,
Well, the other part about having a couple in the can ahead of time is it gives you time to practice.
yep,
Because this is one of the, whether you're talking about the technology or just the getting in the rhythm, finding your voice, finding your place of comfort doing this. Because it's, yes, we've been talking tonight, but depending on the kind of show that you have, it may not be as loose as this. It may not be as free as this, depending on the show you decide to build. So,
and some shows have segments. Like I go back and forth with Zoe. Sometimes I want her to have segments. She does what she wants. But certain shows I like that have segments. Certain shows I just like free form. It's all, it all comes down to what you do.
Yeah, I got a couple ideas around.
I still think you should think of a co-host that doesn't know Star Wars.
I've got plenty. It's a matter of convincing them to sit through, an hour and a half of me just talking at them about Star Wars.
Well, do you crochet or anything like that? Could you be doing something while you're talking about Star Wars?
Making dinner,
Yeah, cooking in Star Wars.
I mean, I could be.
There is Starbecue, which is a cooking Star Wars podcast.
What? That's a thing?
It's called Starbecue. I went to one of their they had a meet and greet / fundraiser in Lancaster one time, and they had a wing eating contest, and I was I joined it, but since I don't eat meat, they made me tater tots with the sauce.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. No, but I think if you had you think of successful sitcoms. So if you look at Seinfeld was the least funny on the show, and he had other people be funny that made his stuff funny. Does that make sense? Like he was like the straight man. So if you find a Star Wars podcast with someone that doesn't know Star Wars, I've had the same discussion with the droid builders that they were talking about doing a podcast. You need someone to ask questions for the audience that you might not think of. And the best person to ask those questions is someone who does not know Star Wars. It's like, Ken, it's like your toy. When I listen to a lot of your shows, when the toy guys get on there, that is so interesting, but I would never know to ask those questions. And so sometimes if you get someone their question will drive your talk.
And remember to have fun. I know it sounds silly. Have fun with it.
Well, we must be having some fun because I was planning on doing this for an hour, and we're 3 hours and 7 minutes in. I set my dishwasher to delay because not thinking, I put the podcast side right near where the drain goes into the street, into the sewer system. And so when the water softener kicks in, it sounds like a train's going off in here. So I was like, oh, well, I'll be done and in bed in 3 hours. Well, So.
Sure you will.
Of course. That's always
Have a
how
great
that
night,
works.
guys. I'll catch up with you later.
Yeah.
Bye.
All right.
Take care.
All right. Hey, I'll see you guys later. Thank you, everyone, for showing up.
You are very welcome, my friend.
Now I made it through the weather. Better days are gonna get better. I'm so